Discover the incredible secret revealed by a sick girl when a mechanic carried her up 10 stairs. Lucy sat on the ragged couch, the peeling walls of their small apartment echoing the silence that wrapped around her. The rain drummed steadily against the window, a hollow melody accompanying her thoughts. Just 12, with dreams that flickered like a candle in the wind, she skimmed through the glossy pages of a science magazine, absorbing the words as if they held the secrets to her future. Yet, her world felt heavy. A chronic illness pressed down on her chest, leaving her breathless and battling despair. She longed to be a renowned scientist, but each day dragged a reminder that dreams often flicker out in the harsh light of reality. Her mother, a silent warrior, was out again, working multiple shifts at the diner. Lucy was alone, abandoned to the dimness of their home, her heart heavy with regrets for aspirations now dulled by the weight of circumstance. Sitting on the couch, memories of her grandfather's inventive spirit played tricks on her mind. He had been brilliant, once full of promise until betrayal shattered his dreams. Just as she sank deeper into a familiar despair, the community center's cold fluorescent lights buzzed in her mind. Her mother had been too tired to pick her up. She sat there, eyes downcast, feeling the weight of her own hopes slip the same way so many hopes had slid through the cracks of her family's past. That's when Tom, the town's mechanic with an easygoing smile, noticed her fidgeting. He approached, concern etched into his brow. Without a second thought, he lifted her into his arms, effortlessly carrying her up the 10 stairs to their apartment. "You're stronger than you look," she quipped weakly, embarrassed but also warmed by his presence. As they ascended, Tom shared the stories of his youth fixing cars and big dreams. He laughed at the memory of an old project gone awry, the engine blowing up in his own garage. The stories enveloped her and, for a fleeting moment, the ache in her body faded. But even as he spoke, Lucy wrestled with thoughts spiraling inside her mind, a battle of dreams against the shadow of her grandfather's legacy. Should she take the unfinished blueprint tucked away in the attic and chase after the inventions that her grandfather never completed? Each story Tom told tugged at her heart, urging her to take action. What if pursuing the truth behind her grandfather's betrayal could not only redeem his spirit but also become the path to her own aspirations? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back in the musty room, her heart raced as she considered the allure of discovering the truth about the family betrayal versus the fear of dragging their name through the dirt. A part of her yearned to start fresh in the realm of science, to create the future on her own terms without the shadows of the past hanging over her. But what if by ignoring her grandfather's story, she was simply repeating history? The discovered blueprint whispered possibilities, a thread connecting her to the dreams of a family torn apart by loss and disappointment. Should she open the door to this troubling legacy, risking everything her family had endured for the sake of her ambition? As the rain poured heavier outside, the tension coiling deeper inside her was palpable, like a string pulled too taut, threatening to snap. She remained immobilized, staring at the blueprint, heart in her throat, the decision looming over her like ominous storm clouds. Would choosing to embrace her family's history empower her, or would it lead her down a path of further disillusionment? Time seemed to freeze as she grappled with the question that could define the shelves of her future. Standing before that old blueprint, Lucy felt that she stood on the edge of transformation, a chasm of dreams and fears opening between her past and the possibilities ahead. What had begun as a simple act of kindness now felt devastatingly momentous, leaving her strung between laughter and tears, hope and despair. The storm outside intensified, and Lucy felt the chaos mirrored within her. Clutching the blueprint, its creased edges felt warm against her fingertips. This was not just an artifact, it was an invitation to unravel a family mystery, to reclaim a legacy that had been blackened by betrayal. Who was she to guide the fragile narrative of her grandfather's past? Deep down, though, a fierce determination flickered, igniting a spark of courage obscured by years of uncertainty. What if she could resurrect his dreams and piece together the puzzle of his failures? The thought thrilled her, overriding the gravity of her doubts. An inventor at heart, her grandfather embodied the spirit she yearned to encapsulate, a spirit shattered by circumstance. Gathering her resolve, she made a choice, to explore the blueprint's secrets. She would let discovery replace despair. With newfound purpose, Lucy moved with purpose toward the attic. The staircase creaked beneath her weight, sounding like an old man groaning awake from long slumber. The attic door, weathered and understated, was a threshold separating her from the world of past pains. Taking a deep breath, she pushed it open, dust swirling like the memories of those who had come before. The air felt charged with potential, and for the first time, she was ready to face it. As she rummaged through boxes, each item was a portal to memories long forgotten: a tattered baseball glove, yellowed photographs, and finally, a collection of musty notebooks. Excitement buzzed through her veins, as if she were shaking off the sickness that had plagued her. She set about sifting through the notebooks filled with scrawled formulas and inventions. Each page transported her deeper into her grandfather's mind, warping time and bridging generations. Ironically, his failures painted a tapestry of resilience. Designs he'd been too late to see realized spoke to the tenacity she feared she lacked. As she flipped through the pages, she felt her own dreams merging with his, a merging she believed could heal both their spirits. Maybe the courage he hadn't found could manifest through her, a conduit of forgotten ambition. Revelations jumped at her from the pages, inspirations ignited by a world that would have otherwise been closed off to her. Yet alongside inspiration crept anxiety. Would her intentions to explore the past be seen as a betrayal in itself? Would her mother understand this emerging passion? Uncertainty gnawed at her, but she pressed on, aware that this journey might demand not just courage but a confrontation with her family. To rise above the specter of her grandfather's legacy meant claiming it fully, failures and all. How would they react when they discovered what she was capable of? As dusk shrouded the attic in shadows, a plan took root in her mind. She needed to share her discoveries with Tom. His stories had done more than entertain her, they had activated something dormant within her. She had heard tales of resilience and revival. If anyone would appreciate the beauty of reinventing failure into invention, it would be him. With a renewed sense of mission, Lucy descended the stairs more certain than ever. As the rain continued to pelt against the windows, the faces of her family appeared before her: her mother, her grandfather, and even Tom. They were right there, bound together by the threads of hope and ambition. She resolved to investigate their past while forging her own path forward. But these thoughts were disrupted when her mother's keys rattled in the lock. The moment of truth had arrived. Would her mother embrace this awakening? Would she understand Lucy's desire to confront the shadows of their family history? With a heartbeat quickening her resolve, Lucy prepared herself for the conversation that could either empower or smother her dreams. As her mother stepped through the door, the charged atmosphere thickened. This was just the beginning, a moment punctuated by potential change, the crossing point between dreams and reality, fear and courage. Would the ensuing confrontation channel the strength she sought or force her into hiding once more? Lucy tightened her grip on the ideas swirling in her mind, poised for the dialogue to come. Lucy felt the heaviness in the air when her mother entered, a tangible mix of apprehension and anticipation that charged the moment. Her mother, still shaking off the remnants of the storm outside, looked weary yet concerned. The tension in her brow deepened as she surveyed Lucy's scattered finds on the attic floor. "Lucy, what is going on? Why are you up here? You know this isn't your room anymore, right?" The question hung in the air, brimming with unspoken worries. Lucy took a breath, steeling herself for what would undoubtedly be a pivotal conversation that lay upon the threshold of her aspirations and familial expectations. "I was looking for something personal," she stammered, the impulse to shrink away colliding with the urgency to rise above. "I found these notebooks, they're Grandpa's." Her mother's expression shifted from curiosity to alarm, a flicker of the past threading through her eyes. "Why are you digging into his things?" We've talked about this, Lucy. The gentle reprimand felt like a restraint, igniting a familiar urge to rebel. This was where years of suppression clashed against her rekindled ambitions. Mom, I need to understand who he was. Maybe even learn from him. I want to finish what he started. The words spilled out before she could second-guess them, each one striking like a hammer against her mother's defenses. The silence that followed felt oppressive. It was Lucy's heartbeat, raw and urgent, that filled the void. Would she be heard? Her mother stepped closer, softness fighting with the weight of concern. Lucy, I just don't want you to get hurt. There's so much you don't know. Don't I deserve to know? Lucy countered, the resolve in her voice surprising even her. I can't let his dreams die just because of what happened. I can't just turn away. As a moment of pondering passed between them, Lucy recognized a shift in her mother's gaze, perhaps a grudging acknowledgement of Lucy's determination. But just as quickly, it was veiled again by fear. You think this is a game? Playing with fire like your grandfather did? He lost everything, Lucy. The weight of those words struck her like a gust of wind. Her grandfather's legacy had not just been a tapestry of failures. For Lucy, it was also a mirror reflecting her own fears. What if she was destined to replicate his mistakes? I want to learn, Lucy insisted quietly, vulnerability surfacing amidst her fierce determination. She felt fragile, a thin layer of ice formed over a turbulent sea of ambition. For a heartbeat, they stood in a suspended reality, Lucy, poised to claim her inherited flame, and her mother, thrumming with the worries of a past that had cast long shadows. You need to promise me you'll be careful, her mother finally said, voice low but resolute. This family has sustained enough loss. I promise, Lucy replied, forcing conviction into her voice. Her heart swelled with a fierceness she hadn't fully embraced until now. This pledge, a shared moment of understanding between them, tethered Lucy to her purpose. She had taken a step forward into light despite the dimness surrounding their family story. Maybe by confronting the shadows, she could illuminate the potential hidden within the wreckage of her grandfather's history. With renewed vigor, Lucy began to strategize her next move. She needed to gather more knowledge about her grandfather's inventions but also delve into the emotional landscapes her mother had skirted around for years. She would not just dig into the past for adventure, she needed to either reconcile with it or break free entirely. After a few hesitant conversations about old memories, she silently noted her mother's reactions, preparing a plan that would push boundaries but might also heal. As the rain tapped a steady rhythm against the window, Lucy realized the storm outside mirrored her inner tumult. The path ahead would not be easy, but she was prepared to traverse it. She could feel the tension brewing, the potential for conflict but also the possibility of groundbreaking revelations about her identity and her grandfather's legacy. Then, her phone buzzed, startling her from her thoughts. The message brightened the screen, a text from Tom. Hey, can we meet up? I need to share something important. Lucy's heart raced. The moment of truth deepened. She would finally face someone who might understand her journey. But would it be the support she so desperately sought, or would it challenge her newly formed convictions in an entirely different way? With the storm's fury still raging outside, immense possibilities loomed on the horizon, sparking within her a scintilla of hope illuminated by the unpredictability of the coming storm. As Lucy stood at the window, the rain drummed insistently on the glass, echoing the chaotic rhythm of her thoughts. Tom's message hovered over her like a question mark, spurring her into action. She instinctively knew this meeting would take her closer to a pivotal understanding of her grandfather's unfinished work. The urgency infused her with an electric determination. With a quick glance at her mother, who remained ensconced in her own fears, Lucy felt a flicker of guilt. That guilt vanished into resolve as she tucked one of her grandfather's notebooks under her arm and took a steadying breath. Each step down the staircase felt like a step deeper into the unknown. She needed to shape her own destiny. Tom's workshop was only a few blocks away, the sound of engines being tuned and the scent of motor oil filled the air as Lucy approached. The place pulsated with life, an undercurrent of expertise and creativity. She had always admired Tom's craftsmanship, the way he wielded tools the way an artist wields a brush. Knowing that he understood machinery as a living, breathing entity echoed her own emerging view of her grandfather's inventions. "Lucy." Tom greeted, wiping his hands on a rag before extending an arm. "I'm glad you came." His warm smile enveloped her, a comforting reassurance amidst her tangled emotions. Once inside, he gestured for her to sit at a cluttered workbench dotted with various gadgets and parts. "I've been meaning to talk to you about your grandfather. I found something out that might interest you." His voice dipped into a serious tone, resolve casting a shadow over his jovial demeanor. "What is it?" she urged, a mix of eagerness and anxiety bubbling beneath her surface. Was this the breakthrough she sought? "Remember how your grandfather always had these wild ideas?" Tom began, his brows knitting together in focus. "When I was cleaning out the shed last month, I stumbled upon some sketches and half-finished projects." He had worked on something substantial, something miles ahead of its time. Tom opened a drawer and pulled out a tattered sheet of paper adorned with intricate diagrams, machines that had never seen the light of day. Each carefully drawn line sent a jolt of recognition through Lucy. Her grandfather's flair for the inventive surged forward, revealing the brilliance that had been dimmed by history. The machine depicted was a blend of mechanics and innovation, a potential marvel that could showcase her grandfather's legacy in a new light. "This," Lucy said, the excitement rising in her voice, "what is it supposed to do?" Tom's eyes lit up with animated enthusiasm. "It's a prototype for a renewable energy generator. Your grandfather believed it could provide power in remote areas, using minimal resources." As he spoke, a blueprint of Lucy's dreams began unfurling in her mind. Perhaps her quest wasn't reckless but rather an invitation to reimagine the past into something transformative. What happened with it? Lucy couldn't suppress her curiosity, but the question bore the weight of implications. Would there be failures she had to contend with? He got discouraged, Tom admitted, his voice lowering as if unwilling to disturb a sensitive truth. It's like he was too far ahead of his time. And then, well, you know how things went. The shadow of her family history loomed large, mingling with the bright promise of her grandfather's vision. He believed in this. I want to believe in it too. Her voice swelled with a newfound urgency, each word solidifying her resolve. Tom watched her, sensing the shift in her demeanor. You can bring this back to life, Lucy. It can be your project if you want it to be. You carry that fire. As she absorbed his words, a flickering flame ignited within her, a determination to honor her grandfather while forging her own path. Yet, beneath the spark of ambition, doubt lingered, gnawing at the edges of her confidence. Was she prepared for the risks involved? Brewed in uncertainty, she felt the stakes rising. The conversation blurred into a haze of possibilities, and suddenly, in the midst of their brainstorming, Lucy recalled her mother's warning. What would she choose? She was at a crossroads, teetering between her heritage and her ambition. Breaking the moment, she leaned back, her eyes fluttering over Tom's sketches. Can we work on this together? Absolutely, he replied, enthusiasm brimming anew. I think I have some contacts who could help with sourcing materials. As they dove into the intricacies of her grandfather's designs, Lucy felt clarity cutting through the fog of her prior uncertainties. She was more than an echo of a bygone era, she was the vessel for a different kind of future, but beneath her drive lay questions that felt serpentine. How far was she willing to push boundaries? Would this endeavor draw her mother closer or set them further apart? Just then, her phone buzzed again, this time an unknown number. Lucy, it's important we talk, the text read. The challenge felt palpable, an unexpected twist that forced her to reconsider everything she was walking toward. What secrets awaited her, and could they reveal truths that might shatter her understanding? With the storm of opportunity swirling around her, Lucy realized that every step forward was fraught with deeper challenges yet to unfold. Lucy's finger hovered over the screen, uncertainty pooling in her stomach. The anonymous message awaited a response, but her focus was consumed by the remnants of her grandfather's vision. She had stumbled into a world not only packed with old blueprints but also bustling with potential, the energy generator offering a glimmer of hope amid her uncertainties. I should respond, she thought, a flicker of resolve lighting her mind. But the overwhelming excitement of the workshop quelled her hesitation. While Tom explained the intricate mechanics, gaps in her understanding intensified her determination. Words flowed out of him, layered with knowledge and passion, yet in her mind spiraled a constant refrain: was she ready for this? Are you with me? Tom's voice snapped her back to the present. This can be big, Lucy. The potential applications, think of the lives it could change. He was looking at her, waiting for her to engage, to shake off the shadow of doubt. I am, she managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. With each passing moment in the workshop, it was becoming clearer. The generator's purpose resonated with her need for acknowledgement and the desire to make a difference. Let us get started. Tom grinned, and together they spent hours poring over her grandfather's sketches, debating design choices, and sketching out additional ideas. Each comment became an affirmation, feeding her burgeoning confidence. What if we adjusted the intake? Lucy proposed at one point, her mind racing ahead despite the intricate details. You're catching on quicker than I thought, Tom replied, encouraging her input as they aligned their visions into a cohesive project. Still, beneath the surface, doubt gnawed at her. What if her mother's fears were valid? What if she failed? Each time her resolve threatened to crack, she fixed her gaze on the sketches, a map of countless possibilities waiting to be explored. Hours bled into each other, and soon the workshop was awash in the golden hue of late afternoon. As they lined up materials to begin building prototypes, her phone buzzed again. Lucy, are you there? The text read, soaking up her attention like an ink blot on paper. The urgency caught her breath. We really need to talk, the anonymous sender added, a subtle threat dangling beneath the surface of those words. She hesitated. Did this new wave of intrigue pull her from the path she was forging? Uncertainty washed over her, but then came the realization that facing this unknown might very well be intertwined with her journey. Her grandfather's spirit of invention fought against the very fears that had haunted her family for years. I need to take this, she told Tom, her decision made with surprising clarity. I'll be right back. She stepped outside the sanctuary of creativity into the damp chill of the evening air, her heart racing as she responded. Who is this? She asked, her fingers trembling against the screen. Let us just say I know things about your grandfather. Meet me, and you'll understand, the reply rang back, leaving more questions than answers swirling in her mind. The rain had eased, the world outside tinged with the soft glow of streetlights, but the weight of anticipation pressed upon her. This was not just a conversation, this was the potential key to unveiling truths long hidden. She returned to the workshop, anxiety eating at her resolve. I need to venture out tonight. I have a meeting, she announced, earning a questioning look from Tom. Are you sure? We're on the verge of something here. Lucy swallowed hard. I need clarity. There are things about my grandfather I have to understand. His eyes narrowed contemplatively before nodding. Okay. Just be careful. The weight of her choices settled in. As she ventured into the night, the rain's return mirrored her turbulent thoughts. Who was this person? What truths would they unveil? With each step, a thrilling fear coursed through her veins. This journey seemed to intertwine her past and future, an intersection of ambition, legacy, and the unknown. And just as she stepped into the darkness, hanging over her intent, she felt it again, the electricity of something pivotal, something waiting to break through. As she moved with purpose, blending hope and trepidation, she wondered, what new path would this meeting carve into the life she was determined to reshape? The night enveloped Lucy, the soft rain blurring the edges of the cityscape as she made her way through the dimly lit streets. Each footstep on the slick pavement echoed the pulse of her racing heart, a mix of excitement and apprehension. She could feel the gravity of the unknown pulling at her, weaving its way into her thoughts. What awaited her at this rendezvous? Was it a piece of her grandfather's past, riddled with carefully kept secrets, or an avenue into burgeoning opportunities. Lucy clutched her phone tightly, its glow illuminating her face as she navigated to the agreed-upon location, an unassuming cafe nestled between brick buildings. Memories of her grandfather flickered in her mind, the stories of his dedication, his failures, and the fleeting glimpses of greatness he shared with her. She wanted to savor each of those moments, but this meeting demanded her full focus. They were connected through blood, ambition, and perhaps a legacy she was yet to comprehend. As she entered the cafe, the warm, inviting atmosphere contrasted sharply with the chilly night outside. Lucy took a deep breath, trying to clear the lingering fog of doubt in her mind. Her gaze swept across the room until it landed on a figure seated in the corner, a mug cradled in hand. The person's presence exuded confidence. There was no question they had stories to tell. "Lucy, I presume." The figure gestured for her to join them, a slight smile playing on their lips. As Lucy settled into the seat, she studied the person, a well-dressed middle-aged man, his eyes sharp and assessing. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice firm, masking the whirl of curiosity brewing within. "I'm Reed," he said, leaning forward slightly. "Your grandfather and I had a partnership many years ago, one that led to revolutionary ideas. He was a visionary, Lucy. The world never got to see what he was capable of." His tone was heavy with nostalgia, hinting at stories untold. Lucy felt excitement bubble at the prospect of learning more. "What do you mean? What happened?" Reed hesitated, weighing his words. "Your grandfather faced immense pressures, financial and personal. There were regrets, and some passions he shelved long before his time. I'm here because I believe you carry the same spark." The resemblance startled her. She hadn't realized how deeply she longed to hear anyone affirm her potential. "I'm trying to build something based on his ideas," Lucy replied, her conviction growing stronger. "But I worry I'm not enough. Maybe he left these ideas for a reason." "A reason?" Reed chuckled lightly. "Or perhaps he wanted someone with your spirit to bring them to life. Don't you see? You're already doing it. Those prototypes you're building are a window into possibility." His belief in her flickered the waning trust she held in her own capabilities. "But what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough?" Lucy's voice trembled, revealing the essence of her vulnerability. "Failure is essential for growth, for clarity. It's a tool," Reed answered, his gaze unwavering. "Embrace it. You'll learn more from your missteps than any success can teach you. And you possess qualities he admired: creativity, tenacity, and a profound desire to make a difference." His words lit a fire within her, and she felt herself leaning into the conversation. "What do you know about his work? His unfinished projects?" Reed's expression shifted, shadowed by something unspoken. "There's much to uncover. He didn't just leave blueprints, Lucy. There are documents, research, ideas that could reshape energy consumption completely. But you need to be prepared. Some people don't want the past unveiled. It might get dangerous." A chill ran down her spine, but a surge of defiance countered her trepidation. She had already embarked on this path, armed with the weight of her grandfather's legacy and her own burgeoning ambitions. "I want to know everything," she declared, just as excitement surged within her. Reed's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, the smile leaving his face. "We need to move. A lot is at stake here, and we're not the only ones interested in those old plans." Lucy's heart raced. This wasn't just about her grandfather's success, but a journey into a shadowy world that threatened to consume her ambitions. As they stood to leave, uncertainty loomed, threatening to spiral her vision into chaos. Yet, she felt anchored by a sense of purpose. "Are you ready for this?" Reed asked, his eyes locking onto hers, the weight of their journey starting to settle between them. "There's no turning back now," she replied, determination solidifying in her core. "I'm ready." With that, the two stepped into the night, each moment teeming with anticipation as the dark road ahead twisted into unknown possibilities. Whatever lay ahead would test her resolve further than she had ever imagined, but as they moved deeper into the shadows of the city's alleys, Lucy's mind was already racing. Who was she truly prepared to face in the following moments, and what revelations awaited on the other side? The rain had lessened to a soft drizzle, but the closeness of the night remained oppressive, as if the city cloaked itself in a veil of secrecy, mirroring the doubts swirling in Lucy's mind. As Reed led her down the narrow alleyway, the weight of her grandfather's legacy intertwined with her own aspirations, beckoning her forward into the uncertainty that lay ahead. "What kind of danger are we talking about?" she asked, trying to mask the tremor in her voice while keeping pace. Each step down the slick pavement felt more like a plunge into the unknown than a calculated move toward success. Reed hesitated, his posture tightening. "People invested in keeping that past buried aren't just going to sit back and watch you run with it. Your grandfather's inventions posed a threat to their interests. The stakes are high." Lucy absorbed his words, a grim reality that tangled with her ambitions. Taking risks was one thing, but facing unseen adversaries. The thought of confrontation sent ripples of anxiety coursing through her. Yet, in her stomach, a spark ignited, an ember of defiance that refused to die. "What if I can protect my grandfather's legacy?" she ventured, her mind racing with what-ifs. "I could modify his designs, make them better, safer." Reed glanced at her, evaluating her earnestness. "Modifications might not be enough. We need to outsmart them. Your grandfather hid layers within his work. Some were by design, and others out of necessity. You must dig deeper than just the surface." Deep inside, Lucy felt a wave of determination swell. She hadn't come this far just to be deterred by threats. "Show me what he was working on, and I'll prove I can handle it." A tinge of conviction flooded her words, a challenge that echoed in the chilly air. With a nod, Reed veered into a dimly lit passage that led to a clandestine workshop, its entrance shrouded by piles of old machinery and toolboxes. She stepped inside, nervously shifting her weight. The sight that greeted her was overwhelming: blueprints plastered against the walls, faded photographs of her grandfather in various stages of creation, parts and wires strewn about haphazardly. Each item emanated a story, a whisper of legacy yearning to be uncovered. "This is where the real magic happened," Reed said, gesturing at the remnants of innovation. "Your grandfather poured his heart into these projects. But there's more than just the physical. These designs got buried because they could ignite a revolution, a risk some would do anything to keep from happening." Lucy scanned the room, the sheer volume of untapped potential seeped into her pores. The familiar mixture of anxiety and thrill washed over her as she approached a particularly intricate blueprint, a machine schematic unlike any she had ever seen. The complexity reminded her of her university studies but surged with an allure that reignited her passion. As she deciphered the lines and curves, a notion began to bloom: if she could grasp her grandfather's genius and adapt it to modern standards, she might create something even more powerful. A surge of energy coursed through her, igniting an urgent sense of purpose. "What do I need to do?" she asked, her voice steady, determined. "First, we gather intelligence," Reed responded, retrieving a notebook filled with notes. As he pointed to specific sketches, her heart raced. Each thread of knowledge was a strand in the tapestry of her lineage, and with each revelation, she reclaimed more of her grandfather's essence. His dreams became a part of her fabric. As they worked side by side, Lucy could feel her confidence swell. Each solved puzzle drew her closer to understanding not only her grandfather's mind but her own capabilities. She was a creator too. Worries began to dissolve, replaced by the thrill of craftsmanship and new purpose, until her next move crystallized with fierce clarity. Yet, lurking beneath the surface, a voice reminded her each advancement brought them closer to confrontation. The shadows were more than metaphorical, they loomed in the forgotten corners of her new endeavor. Those who wanted to suppress her grandfather's past were now on her trail. Suddenly, the faint sound of footsteps echoed down the corridor, grounding her thoughts in reality. Heart racing, Lucy shared an alarmed glance with Reed, their minds racing. Who was approaching? "Get ready," he whispered. Uncertainty gripped her once more, the resolve she had just built now tinged with fear. But whatever came next, Lucy was determined this journey was hers to finish, whatever the cost. The moment of truth was fast approaching, confronting her with choices that would define her path. With fear dancing alongside her ambitions, she took a deep breath, preparing to face whatever threat or opportunity lay just around the corner. As the footsteps drew nearer, a question lingered: would she step into the light or retreat into the shadows? The echo of footsteps reverberated through the cramped workshop, each sound amplifying the tension that hung in the air like a thick fog. Lucy's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage. She had tasted the exhilaration of stepping into her grandfather's legacy, a legacy poised at a dangerous crossroads, and now, faced with unexpected visitors, doubt threatened to undermine her resolve. "Stay behind me," Reed instructed, his voice low, shifting his body slightly to shield her view of the door. The darkened corners of the workshop seemed to close in around them, forcing Lucy to confront the reality of their precarious situation. She wanted to protest, to remind him that she was no longer the naive girl who only aspired to follow in her grandfather's footsteps. But as the footsteps drew closer, she felt her determination waver. Could she really face whoever stood on the other side? Yet the embers of her ambition flickered defiantly within her. This was her chance not just to reclaim her grandfather's work, but to prove herself. A figure emerged from the shadows, and clarity surged through Lucy. A woman with sharp features and a calculating gaze settled in the doorway, her expression swirling with intensity and authority. The dim light glinted off her sleek black coat, giving her an almost predatory appearance. Lucy felt the air thicken around them, as if the walls themselves were bracing for impact. "Who are you?" Reed challenged, stepping forward, yet Lucy could see the cautious calculation in his posture. "I'm Grace," the woman replied, her voice smooth yet heavy with conviction. "You're meddling with forces you don't fully understand." Her eyes fixed on Lucy, dissecting her presence. "Then help me understand," Lucy shot back, surprising herself with the strength of her defiance. "I'm not afraid of the truth, and I won't back down. My grandfather's work deserves to see the light." Grace's smile was chilling, a mere sliver of mirth that failed to touch her eyes. Bold words for someone standing on the precipice of chaos. Lucy caught the undertone of warning in Grace's tone, but the urgency growing within her wouldn't let her retreat. This was more than curiosity, this was a revelation waiting to unfold, and she would be damned if she let it slip away again. "Your grandfather's inventions were a danger, not just to the interests of some faceless entities, but to society itself," Grace continued, taking a step closer. "He was on the brink of something extraordinary, but also catastrophic. It's not a legacy you simply dabble in." "What does that mean?" Lucy pressed, her mind racing with the implications of her words. Was her grandfather's legacy truly more of a curse than a blessing? "Essentially, it means you need help," Grace replied, her demeanor shifting to a more strategic tone. "I can provide you with the tools and the knowledge to navigate the treacherous waters you're wading into. But you must understand this, knowledge has a price." Lucy's heart sank for a moment. A deal with someone like Grace? But the flicker of her grandfather's spirit urged her on, igniting her instinct to grasp every opportunity. "I'm not afraid to pay a price for the truth," she managed, the words tasting bitter but resolute. Grace regarded her with a mix of intrigue and skepticism. "Very well. But be cautious. This journey will test your moral compass more than you're aware. The line between legacy and ambition can easily blur." The realization crashed over Lucy. This wasn't just about understanding the inventions or modifying designs, it was about confronting the very essence of who she was. As Grace reached into her coat and pulled out a small device, a sleek communicator, Lucy grasped the gravity of her decision. She was standing on the verge of something monumental, but with monumental risks looming large. Could she balance the power she was about to pursue with the legacy of integrity her grandfather left behind? Before she could voice the swirling apprehension in her mind, Reed interrupted. "We need to move. We can discuss this more safely elsewhere." But Lucy was already working through the implications. Each choice they made from this point forward would reshape her understanding of her grandfather and herself. As they turned to make their escape, Lucy felt an unsettling clarity weaving through her veins. She was now fully immersed in a world where the price of truth could cost her more than she had anticipated. And as they stepped out from the shadows of the workshop, she couldn't shake the sense that a greater conflict was looming on the horizon. She felt the weight of accountability settle on her shoulders as uncertainty drifted ominously nearby. The question that hung in the air was profound: would she learn to navigate the treacherous waters ahead, or would she succumb to the tides of ambition that threatened to swallow her whole? Lucy stepped into the cool night air, her senses sharpened by the tension that had coiled tightly within her. The workshop, with its cluttered tables and whirring machinery, faded into the background as the weight of Grace's words echoed in her mind. The shadows hadn't just retreated, they had unveiled the true essence of her grandfather's legacy, not simply a path of creation, but one riddled with danger and ethical complexity. Reed's urgency broke through her spiraling thoughts. "We need to get to the car." He glanced around, his expression alert, as if the darkness itself might conceal threats. Lucy matched his intent gaze, feeling the shift within herself from hesitant follower to determined leader. She had decided to confront whatever lay ahead. This was her moment to forge her future guided by her own convictions. As they hastened down the dimly lit alleyway, Lucy replayed Grace's revelations in her thoughts. The notion that her grandfather's inventions were dangerous pricked at her mind like a thorn. Was she ready to delve into a legacy that could lead to destruction? "Are you okay?" Reed's voice cut through her reverie. Concern knitted his brows as he paused to check on her. "I'm fine." The defiance in her voice surprised her. "No, I'm more than fine. I need to focus on moving forward." Reed nodded, though the worry in his eyes lingered. He opened the car door for her, and as she climbed inside, a flurry of internal conflicts surged through her. Was this ambition unraveling her commitment to ethical boundaries? The engine roared to life, and as Reed drove away, she decided to strip away her uncertainties. This was an opportunity for revelation and discovery, yet it felt eerily like stepping into an unknown arena to battle demons forged from her own lineage. "Do you believe Grace?" Reed asked, unbuckling his seatbelt, the hum of the engine almost drowning out his voice. The question hung heavy in the air, urging Lucy to articulate her growing apprehension. "I don't think she's wrong," Lucy replied cautiously. "But I need to figure out how to approach this legacy and whether I can handle the truth." "Look, Lucy," Reed's tone shifted as he focused on the road. "Your grandfather's work is already touching dangerous territory. Are you prepared for what you might discover?" That question struck deep, clawing at Lucy's resolve. Could she stay true to herself while navigating this chaos? Her determination hardened as she remembered the myriad ways her grandfather had inspired her with his inventions. His passion had been infectious, and his work, despite its potential consequences, had created wonders. But what if those wonders were simply masks for something darker? Had she even begun to measure the depths of her own ambition against her grandfather's vision? "Maybe I have to risk the truth to honor his legacy," she said finally, her voice steeled with resolution. "If I don't confront these forces, how could I hope to reclaim his work?" Reed glanced at her, a flicker of respect sparking in his eyes. The tension eased slightly, but the undercurrent of doubt persisted between them. She had chosen a path of enlightenment, but it was fraught with conflicting goals. The deeper she descended into her grandfather's world, the more her initial excitement morphed into unease. As they arrived at a secluded diner, a safe haven where they could regroup, Lucy felt a tide of responsibility swell within her. It was time to harness unfamiliar tools, redefine her ambition, and perhaps even emerge into a new version of herself. While Reed ordered coffee, she surveyed the limited selection of machinery and gadgets displayed through the diner's window. Each item spoke to her desire to dive deeper yet renewed her anxiety about the cost of knowledge. "Lucy," Reed's voice pulled her from her reverie once more. "Are you absolutely sure you want to do this?" The question resonated, echoing the very battle raging inside her. Did she truly want to unearth what lay beneath the surface? A sense of foreshadowing embraced her, revealing just how intricate this path had begun to weave itself into her identity. As she gazed at her reflection in the glass, the image was both familiar and foreign, a canvas waiting to be shaped by the decisions she would make next. The weight of legacy bore down upon her shoulders, yet the flicker of empowerment ignited her resolve. The diner door swung open, pulling her attention as a lone man walked in, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. Lucy's instincts pricked, a new wave of urgency washing over her. Who was he, and why did it feel like he had stepped into their story at this critical juncture? In that single moment, she recognized the threshold she stood upon. The depths of her grandfather's legacy were one step away, and now they weren't alone. External forces were closing in. Would she confront them with the courage she had summoned, or would fear once again lead her astray? Lucy's agency was no longer blurred in ambiguity, it was a defining moment. The time had come to face the unforeseen. Her grandfather's inventions might hold keys to more than just truths about the past. Now, the question loomed, could she wield that knowledge without losing herself in the process? Lucy stood before her reflection, framed by the diner's window, her mind swirling with the implications of her newfound path. The chill of the night had deeply settled in, yet within her, a fire ignited by ambition burned steadily. She was ready to embrace the legacy of her grandfather not just as a continuation of his work, but as a declaration of her identity. The door swung open, and the lone man strode in confidently, eyes scanning with intention. A shiver coursed through Lucy. Danger pulsed in the air, and the stakes had never felt higher. Reed, sensing her tension, leaned in closer. "Stay alert," he whispered, the gravity of their situation weighing heavily on his tone. As the man approached, Lucy's heart raced. "You're Lucy," he stated, his voice steady yet unsettling. "I have information that's crucial for your mission." His presence was commanding but unnerving, striking the perfect balance of authority and threat. "What do you know?" Lucy demanded, her voice firm despite the uncertainty twisting inside her. She wouldn't let fear redefine her, not now that she had chosen to pursue her grandfather's vision head-on. "More than you can imagine," he replied, a smirk curving his lips. "Your grandfather's designs aren't just an afterthought, they're a key. A key that unlocks power." A chill ran down her spine, but curiosity propelled her forward. This was indeed the moment of reckoning, the cusp of revelation. The man's words vibrated within her, intertwining with her grandfather's legacy and the pursuit of clarity she desperately sought. "And what's the price?" Lucy ventured, dissecting the tension that crackled like static electricity around them. "Access to his old files. But understand this, once you step into a world like this, there's no going back. Are you prepared to face the consequences?" She hesitated, contemplating the twists that brought her here. Her ambition, fueled by a desire to resurrect the brilliance her grandfather never realized, stood in stark contrast to the darkness that threatened to envelop them. But was she truly ready to confront the tangled mess of truths and dangers that awaited? "Yes," she answered, a surge of defiance rushing through her. "I'm ready." The conviction echoed in her heart, reinforcing her decision not to let any legacy of fear dictate her future. "Then let's begin," the man nodded, gesturing toward the booth at the back. As they settled in, Reed hovering protectively at her side, Lucy felt the tension shift. Each piece of information was a promise that could bridge the abyss between fear and fulfillment. "The energy generator prototype?" The man began, leaning forward, his voice dipped low. "It has the potential to disrupt the entire energy industry, an innovation that could render traditional energy sources obsolete." Skepticism flickered within her. "And that's why it was buried?" "Precisely. Can't let a girl like you stumble upon something that powerful without a fight." His eyes glinted with intrigue, a mix of admiration and a hint of caution that set alarm bells ringing in Lucy's mind, but behind the curtain of danger lay a world of possibility, one that ignited the very essence of her being. This was her chance to redefine her family's tarnished legacy, to reclaim control over the narrative that had haunted them for so long. "The files are heavily encrypted, buried amidst layers of safety protocols. You'll need to work with me to decipher them. We share a goal, but trust must be earned," he continued, that same smirk lingering on his face. Reed's grip on the table tightened next to her, his distrust palpable. We can get the information through other means. We don't need him, his voice low, protective. No, Lucy interjected, cutting through his concern. This is my journey. It's my grandfather's legacy. I need to grasp every opportunity, and this might be the key to unlocking everything. Reed's eyes bore into hers, searching for signs of uncertainty, but all he found was unwavering determination. She would face the challenge head-on. The evolution of her ambition transcended mere hope, it embodied a fervent desire to illuminate the shadows that tainted her family's history. As they strategized through the layers of her grandfather's work, Lucy felt empowerment settling into her bones. She was not merely working to uphold a legacy, she was cradling it, breathing life into dreams left unfulfilled. The blueprint, the stories, the invention, it all merged within her, creating a blueprint of her own resilience. Are you prepared for the risks? The man's question echoed around the table, the reality of their venture surfacing again. With affirming resolve, Lucy nodded. What's the worst that could happen? Failure is a part of the process. I know that now. The man tilted his head, impressed by her resolve. Very well. Let's get to work. As hours slipped away in the warm glow of the diner, Lucy uncovered the layers of her grandfather's intricate designs. Each formula, each theory, brought her closer to understanding not just his inventions, but also herself. A creator, an innovator, a force to be reckoned with. No longer tethered by fears, she was an architect of her destiny. And when the final schematics emerged, she could visualize the vision she was resurrecting, the dream she was now forging in the fire stoked by her fearless ambition. Lucy, Reed's voice startled her from her concentration. This, if we succeed, it won't just be personal. It could change the world. With a fire burning bright in her eyes, Lucy locked gazes with Reed. Then let's change it. They shared a knowing smile, the convergence of purpose illuminating the air between them. This was her time, her legacy. With her grandfather's spirit interwoven with her own, Lucy was ready to rise above the shadows and embrace her truth, transforming fear into fuel. Finally stepping forth into history, she didn't just seek information, she sought empowerment in every area of her life. Hidden beneath the shadows, Lucy would take her grandfather's designs and transform them into beacons of light, guiding her toward a future defined not by circumstance, but by the power of choice. Returning to the path laid before her, the thrill of the unknown surged in her chest. She was ready to face her family's past, brandishing her grandfather's ambition like a torch to illuminate her world. Lucid and fierce, she was prepared to conquer the intricacies of an inherited legacy, cultivating her talents while forging a trail that would intertwine the past with a brilliant, unstoppable future. This was her moment. She would not let it slip away again. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.